Hi there, welcome to the I Ching Cafe. My name is Belinda Davston and thank you for joining me for this weekly episode for the week commencing the 27th of February 2022. Here we are at the end of the month. We've been through a very interesting month of February, albeit short, and we're heading into March over the next few days. So let us pay attention to what we can really get out of this week, the development that we are here to make as we work with the I Ching for this week. First up though, let us have a look last week. All right, we had Hexagram 49, Revolution, the snake shedding its skin. I suggested that you find those two rocks and when the time is right, you wriggle between them and shed that old skin, shed that old belief system, old approach when the time is right. Be like the panther with its beautiful hidden spots and its black coat, and transform without having to force it forward. Not wearing the mask, but just allowing the change to come. And with that, Hexagram 13, fellowship, working with others, harmonizing with others, collaborating, finding ways to work together to achieve something wonderful. So what was your week bringing you on these two hexagrams? What were the insights coming out of the quantum soup to come and greet you and bring you some area of focus for your development for this week? So I had an interesting kind of mundane experience with this hexagram this week where I was working on a particular software package and I knew that for a very long time I would at some point need to upgrade this package. Maybe putting it off and putting it in and putting off. Oh, just the thought of having to go through this process. I didn't want to go to this other one. I wanted to stay with the one I was on. And something happened in the week where I just said to myself, you know, it's time. There's no avoiding this now. This is now enough. Just do it. Okay. And I thought of this hexagram and I thought of the snake sensing the right time and without fanfare just saying, yep, skin's got to come off. It's time. Can only move forward. The panther, right? Just genuine, real change happening at the right time, just going with it. So it's a bit of a mundane example, but it really highlighted for me the many different ways that these hexagrams can bring us insight into our lives. You might have found a very, very big issue transforming in your life. For me, it was a software application as a primary thing, an insight into where I was holding on and how this might unlock things for me going forward. So watch this space. So let us have a look at this week. What is the I Ching asking us to pay attention to? Two very lovely hexagrams, I must say, and an interesting changing line. So let's get into it. Our first hexagram is hexagram 19, approach. Okay. Look at the structure of the hexagram. We have earth on the top and we have lake underneath. The inner joy, this inner upwelling, coming up and emerging up through the soil. And this hexagram can be also called the approach of spring. The approach of something large and significant to bring blessings to that which is small. When we think about the approach of spring and the power of Mother Nature, or whatever name you want to give it, right? Mother Nature bringing this turn in the earth, bringing this light that then stimulates all this growth. And if we are a little fish that's been frozen in ice, right, through the winter, we are frozen. We are a little fish in a big pond. And the water's locked us up and we're frozen, okay? And here comes the sun, here comes the approach of spring, and everything starts to thaw. It happens quite slowly and progressively, but before you know it, we suddenly are able to move again as this fish in the pond, as the melt starts to release us. So when we think about this hexagram, what it brings us is that something large and beneficent is approaching something small, us, okay. And how we work with this energy, if you think about what can the fish do, the fish can't wrestle the change and make it go faster, right? The fish just welcomes the difference, welcomes the change, doesn't judge it, and welcomes the thaw. And so we work with this idea of the approach of something large to something small with the same philosophy. Open-hearted, open-minded, open-armed, welcoming what comes. Okay, so an example might be that for example, in a business context, a much bigger business or a bigger player comes to meet with you, wants to meet with you, and has ideas about how you can collaborate, or has ideas of how to expand your collective businesses. Okay, open yourself up to what's being offered and spoken about. Okay, don't presuppose, don't try and force, don't pre-think. This is welcoming what comes and letting it come into view, letting that power emerge. You can always say no, but this week, what we might find is that we become aware of where this greater power is approaching, is wanting to do something with us. Personally, think about this idea of what the arrival of spring might mean to you. What is arriving and approaching and coming into your perspective? Is it a potential friendship or a relationship or some kind of connection that draws you in, that is coming nearer to bring you blessings? We love blessings. So we work with this energy this week by opening our arms, our heart, our mind to the energy that's arriving. We still use our critical faculties. We always use those. But what we don't do is try and control, influence, manipulate, and pre-think something that's just really way bigger than we are, right? It's just kind of, spring is way bigger than the fish can ever imagine. So we are like that fish. We're just welcoming what comes, and we are letting this thaw release us into the next phase of our development. I expect there's a good chance we're going to get some good news. We're going to be approached by interesting people. We can have interesting ideas put across our desk this week. Or things start to pick up and start to come into our focus that can help us. Things and blessings to come and help us. So we have one changing line. It's in the third position. And you know that this changing line, when we have it in the third position, it's a little bit of a tricky position because we're just about to go across to the second trigram, from the bottom trigram to the top trigram. And we're at this little chasm, right? So we stand on the threshold of a change. And with this line, there's an interesting little kind of pop of change to get our attention to focus on perhaps there's something that's approaching us that is not ours. Okay, so we have this theme. All right, our focus for this week is on where there is this approach of the spring coming to the fish, all right? Where there is this bigger power coming to grace and bless the smaller. And with this changing line, it might bring us some thinking processes, some critical faculties around, is this ours, okay? Is this approach good for us? As much as it might seem too good to say no to, the other side of this approach energy with this changing line says critical faculties. Be very clear when you think about these new opportunities. Is this yours? Is this for your highest and your best? And as amazing as all the packaging, okay, and the story around this opportunity might be, is this good for you and what you are trying to do? And therefore, hold fast to your principles, hold fast to what's important, to what your goals are. Be wary of letting the wonder or the excitement of this kind of thing arriving, taking away your attention from what's really important. And with this changing line, there's also a second level of meaning. So across the books that I reference, sometimes you get slightly different interpretations of what this line is. And when I get those, I always share them with you because you might find you resonate with one or the other and work with them both. Why not, right? Double the fun. So the other part of this changing line is a reference to when we are getting really comfortable, we're doing well in life, okay? We've made progress and we've had some success. What we can do is get too casual and too relaxed about relationships, particularly in the workplace or relationships that are more formalized, and we can get too relaxed and too comfortable with where we are. And what we have to do is we have to see the error of our ways and we have to course correct. We have to get back to being attentive and humble, critical faculties, paying attention to what is really going on. And if we can make that adjustment and accept that, we can bring ourselves back into the alignment of the blessings of this hexagram. So two different, slightly different meanings working with this changing line. One is have your critical faculties open for the things that are not yours, and as much as it may be heart sore to turn them down, be aware, are they yours? Are they going to bring you the blessings you need? And coupled with that is be attentive this week. Stay focused. Be on your best behavior. Be on principle. When you're engaging with others, avoid being sloppy and too casual and too familiar with people where actually there's a formal relationship, and just stay in your integrity. And that's how we work with this line. So where does that go? Our second hexagram, because we only have one changing line, that leads us to this beautiful hexagram, 11, peace. Okay. This hexagram, when you look at the structure, we have heaven on the bottom and earth on the top. Okay. They are not splitting apart like they do in hexagram 12, where they are the opposite way around. We have standstill. Here, they are merging. Okay, so hexagram peace is heaven on earth. Okay, the balance of heaven, the balance of earth, everything being united and conjoined, and the Spirit really working through you to manifest. It's a beautiful hexagram. And it talks about what happens if everything's in balance. What happens when we have the microcosm reflecting the macrocosm, all right? When we have spirit or heaven or the creative power manifesting it through our life work, through our commitment and our service. So when this hexagram comes up, what we're asked to do is expand, lean into the peace, lean into the harmony that this creates. Give, be generous, just, can you just imagine opening up to it? So both these hexagrams are opening up, right? They're welcome and open up to what's coming, right? Here, this is about expanding and the fertile profusion that comes when that connection is made. I got this hexagram when I asked, am I pregnant? And I got a hexagram, this one, 11, peace, locked. I was pregnant. Our beautiful son arrived. And so there's that flowering and flourishing of fertility and profusion and creative flow, the manifestation of spirit. So when we work with this week, we're going to work with this idea of peace. The word peace doesn't quite encapsulate, I think, this idea of heaven on earth. Obviously, we understand the word peace, but our understanding of peace is like, okay, the absence of war. It's deeper than that. The word peace is much, much deeper than that. It's heaven on earth. So this week, we're going to work with that. We're going to welcome, we're going to open, we're going to have our critical faculties on, because that is our task in every moment. And we're going to just have our arms wide open to embrace the beautiful energy flowing through our lives this week. What we can do with this week, wonderful. Thank you so much. If you liked this episode and it added value to you, please consider hitting the like button and sharing it if there's somebody who needs some upliftment in this week, who's needing some peace. Now might be the time to pass it along in a WhatsApp message or in any other format you choose. And if you're new to the channel and you'd like to get the episodes as they drop, please do subscribe or follow if you're on the podcast. And of course, I'll see you on the socials. Enjoy this last little bit of February. It's been an amazing month, and I can't wait to share with you what's coming up for us in March, because there's a lot to do. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.